My son is here too.
Okay, Joe, do it.
Good evening and welcome to the Barefoot Bay Recreation District Board of Trustees regular meeting for January 28, 2020, held at Building D&E. As we do before each board meeting, we would like to take a moment of silence to remember all our service personnel, both past and present, who have or are still fighting and protecting this great country of ours. Also, let's remember all our residents, past and present. We will follow this with a pledge of allegiance to the flag led by Trustee Michael Mano. Let's have a moment of silence now, please.
Would you please stand and remove your caps, please?
Where's our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming, and please turn off all cell phones. Mr. Roger Compton, would you please do the roll call?
Yes, Chairman Klosky, are you here today?
Yes.
Trustee Mano,
Yes.
Trustee Henderson, Trustee Compton's here, Trustee Loveland.
Yes.
Okay. We also have with us today John Coffey, our community manager. We have Stephanie Brown, who is our district clerk. We have with us Christine Rentry, filling in for Cliff Reppinger as our legal counsel. And I saw Matt Getz, our property service manager, here with us, as well as Charles Henley, our finance manager. Rich Armington, our code enforcement and HR manager, I believe is here. And Ms. Kathy Mendez, our food and beverage manager. Chairman Klosky, we're ready to go.
Thank you very much. First on the agenda is a set of minutes. As a matter of fact, there's two sets of minutes. One is the regular Board of Trustees regular meeting for January 10, 2020, and the second one is the Board of Trustees workshop, lounge, and Lakeside expansion for January 14, 2020. I'd like to have you both make a motion on both of them at the same time.
I make a motion to accept them.
Second,
I second.
all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Treasury report, Mr. Loveland, would you please do the treasury report?
Treasury report for January 28, 2020. Cash balances in general fund as of 1/21/20. Petty cash is $2,500. Operating cash in banks, MB&T operating account, $3,324,066.10. Interest-bearing accounts at SB&A reserve account, $693,925.73. Total cash balances in general fund, $4,020,491.83. Total daily deposits and assessments received for periods 1/1 through 1/21 of 20. Daily deposits, $161,258.24. Assessments received, $228,040.27. Total deposits, $389,298.51. Expenditures over $5,000 for 1/1 through 1/21/20. ABM Landscape and Turf Services, $38,691.16. MSLPA, and it's one of our installment payments. For the audit, $12,000. The Brevard County Supervisor of Elections, $346.39. American Shoreline Restoration, $42,000. Carroll Distributing Company, $6,348.80. Home Depot Credit Card Services, $5,482.43. U.S. Foods, $8,534.26. Florida Department of Revenue for sales tax for December of 2019, $15,221.39. Brevard County Tax Collector Tax Certificate for the Neighborhood Revitalization Program, 919 Cashew Circle, $9,971.63. Brevard County Tax Collector for Tax Certificate for the Neighborhood Revitalization Program, 733 Hyacinth Circle, $9,942.13. Brevard County Tax Collector Tax Certificate for the Neighborhood Revitalization Program for 416 Barefoot Boulevard, $9,230.88. The United States Treasury payroll taxes, pay period ending 1/5 of 20, $19,845.42. United States Treasury for paychecks for the net payroll, pay period ending 1/5/20, $63,847.65. Total expenditures over $5,000, $249,462.14. I submit the treasurer's report.
Motion to accept the treasury report.
I make a motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Luann made a motion, second.
I'll second it.
Roger seconded. Any questions on the treasury report? If none, all in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Audience participation, I have 7 lists here. The first one is Robert Schmidt. Name and address, 3 minutes.
Robert Schmidt, I own and live at 1013 Cross Circle. I'll place the board, paper in front of the board. Turn on your mic. All right, when do I begin?
Anytime, go ahead.
All right. My name is Robert Schmidt. I own and live at 1013 Cross Circle. Management, trustees, and members of the Bay. I'm here tonight in opposition of the proposal to lease in the shopping center by a food service business. For all to know, RJ's Restaurant is grateful and blessed by the privilege of having the lease in Barefoot Bay Shopping Center, which complements all other tenants. RJ's made this investment known to all that this is the one food service business in the shopping center and was key in the decision to purchase and assume the current lease at Barefoot Bay and management. RJ's has worked hard at reestablishing a positive atmosphere for community, for all residents and all who currently depend on RJ's with their livelihoods. Board members and management, an important aspect in any business is trust. Trust that performance of your tenants with leases will continue with positive sales, growth, and meet financial obligations to you here in Barefoot Bay and to all other obligations of creditors, and as important to the employees that work at Barefoot Bay at RJ's Restaurant. These are reasons enough to reject this proposal, but I will add, RJ employs 20 people, mostly residents of Barefoot Bay. We have become like family. We are working hard and growing collectively, establishing relationships with all who come into RJ's. At RJ's, we employ employees and we celebrate birthdays, graduations, holidays. We share our lives, vacation stories, weekend adventures, and future goals of our younger staff. At RJ's Restaurants, we serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, along with desserts. We serve homemade pies, homemade cakes, black and white cookies, even cannolis, and ice cream sandwiches, as well as bagels, rolls, sandwiches, soups, salads, and more. RJ's is not alone in the opposition of this proposal. 4 days ago, I started a signature petition, and we have 189 signatures of people that come in the restaurant that are against the proposal of having another establishment next door to us. So for a similar trade, a similar competitor to do damage to our growth, undercut our sales, do financial harm, and restructure the designated office space is not the right solution to rent a vacant office. The time to prevent this encroachment of a similar business in Barefoot Bay is now. Defend your tenant that you have now, RJ's Family Restaurant, and its employees from this proposal, which is an intrusion, a disruption, and will be a financially harmful proposition to all who work there. I vote against this proposal, and I ask you to please protect the well-being and livelihoods of the tenants you now have. Respectfully, Robert Schmidt.
Thank you. Nina? Nina? Name and address, please.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Yes, good evening, Barefoot Bay members, residents, and friends. My name is Nanette Irome, better known as Nina. My son is Robert John Schmidt, known as RJ. Our address is 1013 Thrush Circle, Barefoot Bay, 32976. And we are co-owners of RJ's Family Restaurant located at 937C Barefoot Bay Boulevard. And we leased this property April of 2018. We have been building this business on honesty, integrity, and respect for our guests. We have truly become a family restaurant serving people of Barefoot Bay on a daily basis. A large percentage of the residents enjoy meals here on a daily basis. Some people even eat here 3 times a day because they do not cook at home. We are concerned about another food service establishment setting up right next door to us. Some of our guests might be swayed to try the new establishment. Losing guests would hurt our business and in the process create a loss of income to all our employees. We do not feel the size of this shopping area is set up to handle 2 food service businesses. We are asking you to vote against the proposal of another food service business leasing the vacant space adjacent to RJ's Family Restaurant. The restaurant was established over 17 years ago. We have gone into a lot of expense to renovate with a huge amount of expenditures to upgrade and to give the restaurant a bright and friendly atmosphere so all our guests would feel comfortable when they're dining here. With so many people being affected by the awkward proposal with 2 similar concepts back to back is unfair and unhealthy competition. RJ's Family Restaurant is hoping that our Barefoot Bay Board of Trustees will say no. Help us to keep building RJ's Family Restaurant on honesty, integrity, and respect for all people. Thank you for your attention on this matter and for your cooperation, Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Lorraine? David Lane? No, not yet. Yes.
No. I think
Okay,
you
I'm
called.
sorry. She didn't hear me.
I was going to say Lorraine Andrews, 1221 Chippewa Drive. I was going to come in here and speak differently, but I think I'm going to speak generally. I'm a business owner, and I am aware of what it takes to start a business, keep it going. The first 5 years are tough, and there's no business that's not tough. You got to make payroll, you have to make taxes. You try to outsmart your competition, and I do understand that. I think people in the Bay here need to know a little bit more. After sitting here for a few minutes and listening to some people talking, I was going to talk a different way, but I am going to talk very general. I think people of the Bay need to know what the conditions of this new lease is going to be that is being requested, what is being requested by Holy Cannoli wanting to come into the Bay. And I, as a business owner, I know what it's like to have to make ends meet and to struggle through tough times. So I was going to waive myself off after hearing what was being asked by this business that wants to come into the storefront and what their demands were going to be. And I was going to waive myself off, but I think in all fairness, we need to be fair to all the businesses that are coming into this bay, no matter where they are in these plazas, and what's going to be given to, done to one will be done to all. No special discounts for anybody. If you're not going to give them to one, don't give them to all. I am trying to speak as a friend to a lot of people, because I am friends with a lot of people, but I'm also a business owner, and I know what it's like to have to make ends meet. So I encourage this board to let everybody in this bay know what the terms of the lease is going to be or was asked for by the new people coming in, and let everything be on board, and then let the residents of the bay and the board decide that way. Let it all be upfront. Let everybody know what is being asked, in all fairness to everybody involved. So I was going to waive myself down, not talk, but then I decided to say on a neutral basis, not taking either side. I think everybody in the bay needs to know what is being asked by the new tenant coming in, and then find out how the rest of the residents of the bay, if they are in favor or against it, because I know what it's like to run a business, and it is not easy. So I'm not against, but I'm not pro right now. So I think a little bit more needs to be discussed, and a little bit more needs to be said to the residents of the bay and the board of what this contract is going to be and what is going to be offered to new tenants coming in. That's all I have to say. Consider everybody on an equal basis.
Thank you. Jeannie?
Jean Osborne, 100 Cherokee Court. I'm here to speak in opposition to granting the lease for another restaurant. I think it's totally unfair to the people who have taken a restaurant that was in great disrepair, have remodeled, have cleaned it up, have given excellent service, and brought very, very nice people into the bay to work for them. I don't know why you would even consider the request of a former trustee to open a restaurant in the back door of a restaurant that is already operating and doing a great job for the people in the bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie. David Lane? Name and address, please.
My name's David Lane. I live 1146 Barefoot Circle. I'm not here to speak about what's on the agenda. I didn't make the last meeting. I do watch them on YouTube, and something came up on YouTube where Ernie was talking about the golf course and accessibility for disabled people. And so I've basically come to talk about the ADA, which is the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that's to keep the disabled people in the game. My father's 93 years old, disabled, knees are bad. He tries to do everything he can, but I watched him coming down the hills from the tee boxes using his club for a cane, because Ernie won't put the signs up by the top of the hill. You know, I know he got up here and he said people disabled get out of their cart on a leaning surface, but he puts the signs halfway up the hill, which is still a leaning surface. He's also put white lines out in front of the greens, sometimes 40 yards away from the green, and not allowing disabled people to cross that line. That's fine for me, but somebody disabled, they're trying to keep them in the game. And when he spoke on that, he also spoke about putting new tee blocks out, but they'd be out of the game. Well, the problem with that is, if you research ADA rules, which I've done quite a bit since all this has started going on, and trying to get my dad where he can access to things he needs to access. Some of the rules are very, very clear. The teeing area, having access to which teeing areas. If there's one teeing area, it's the front one. If you have 3 or more, you get access to 2 teeing areas. I like Ernie. Ernie's a friend of mine. I consider him a friend of mine, but I don't think his decisions are always good, but he's hard to communicate with. So I came up here today to challenge the board and Mr. Coffey into researching theirself the ADA rules and regulations. Because anyone can go complain and fill out complaints and they'll be down here about it. But it's better to keep it in the bay. You guys may be able to influence Ernie if you think that he is not correct. If you actually go out there and look at the restriction he's got for disabled people, and it is an older community with a lot of disabled people. You know, that's all I'm stepping up. I'm trying to protect their right to stay in the game. Because if he puts more blocks out further in the flat part of the ground, then they're not handicapped. They're out of the game. They can't keep a handicap system. They can't get in tournaments because they don't have handicaps. That's not what ADA is about. It's about keeping them in the game. So my challenge is just for you guys to research it yourself, see if you think you need to influence Mr. Cruz and changing the way he's done things out there. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Bernstein?
Yeah, Rick Bernson, 920 Cashew Circle. This is in regards to Frank the Baker leasing that one space. A couple questions if you do consider something like this, and I'm not for it at all, but who is going to remodel the space? Who's going to take out the partitions, and who's going to turn it into a vanilla box and do all the plumbing work and put it all back in? Okay, is the rent going to be $10 a foot, as Frank said it should be when he was a trustee? Who's going to upgrade the cooling system when they find out they can't keep up with the extra heat load that they're producing from being a bakery? The air conditioner is not going to be big enough. Who's going to upgrade that system? And I don't think you should create competition for RJs. They are an existing tenant, paying rent, like every business. You know, it's a lot of work for them. Is Frank already struggling where he is now, and why would he want to move himself into a back space on our shopping center where you don't have the storefront he has now? And most of all, if you were to lease to him, are they going to have a personal guarantee on this lease and not just lease it to a business so that someday they can go down the road and just move on out and nobody's got no financial responsibility for the lease? So I strongly suggest if you were to lease, you need a personal guarantee. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack, ready?
Jack Reddy, 806 Cameron Circle, speaking on behalf of RJ's Restaurant, representing the Irish American Club. Since the year 2007, the Irish American Club has used that restaurant, formerly Ray Mock, now RJ's, as our exclusive caterer. We meet from November to April with an average meal component of 185 to 200 people in Building A. As the exclusive caterer, they do a great job. It would be hard on our folks if we find, after a period of time, that RJ's has to lower their expectations and lower their business issues, because then we would be shopping for a new caterer. Mrs. Kathy Mendez has respectfully told us that she does not have the capacity to feed warm and wholesome food to 180 to 215 people. So we're back out looking for another caterer and trying to break one in. We have a good understanding with Ray Mock before him, and that's continued on with RJ's, and we just want to urge the trustees that that restaurant, in addition to its catering for other service clubs in the Bay and taking care of a lot of older folks, of which we are, needs to be whole and solid in their position. As is pointed out, many folks have their 3 meals a day here. I can recall in the 1990s, 1995, bringing my father-in-law, who lived on Buckwood Street, to the restaurant. His favorite was meatloaf. It's still good, by the way. But I urge you, gentlemen, and Luann, to look at this very, very carefully. We're starting an unfair competition, and I don't think it needs to be done that way. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Thank you. Richard Swatlow.
Rich Swatlow, 636 Marlin Circle. This is not about the restaurant business. With the Lakeside Extension Project, my past job with the DEP gave me concerns about the construction at the stairs parallel to the lake for pool mechanics. Even with pumps, mechanical failures and water surges could lead to environmentally and costly repairs. And the cost of moving it from its present location would be prohibitive. I would consider any construction in the area for pool mechanics near the stairs to have more cons than pros. On a sidebar, my overall opinion of the Lakeside Extension is we are building something just for the sake of building something. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? This portion of the audience is now closed. Go ahead. Okay, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Joy Liddy, and I live at 412 Papaya Circle. I also own Sunshine Rentals and Sales here in Barefoot Bay, and we have a good reputation in Barefoot Bay. We eat regularly at RJ's. Our girls go there for lunch, for breakfast, and sometimes we have to take dinner home or to the office. To make this very brief, I had an encounter with Mr. Cavalier when he was on the board. During a time when my office was doing, as every other real estate office was doing during the time, having difficult time hanging on, he made it poignant and clear to me, everyone will pay $10 a square foot. He came in, or the board came in, or the office came in, someone remeasured my office 3 times to make sure they got every inch. I kid you not. And they did, and my rent went up. The board was gracious enough to give me a year to bring it up to snuff. It was over a 40% increase to me, because I've been here a long, long time, since 1996, in that office. I do not feel it is fair, as Mr. Cavalier guaranteed me as a board member, that there would be no competition. There would be no like-kind business opening up. And sure enough, a little over a year ago, they wanted to put a real estate office in there. What kind of competition is that? Like-kind. It fell through. The lady that was trying to move in there, I welcomed her gracefully, told her we'll make things do. And she wasn't able to make it happen. Anyhow, I disapprove of someone trying to break into the Bay when he has a perfectly fine spot. Whether he pays $10 or not, I don't know. I don't care. But we were told we have to pay $10 because that's what is being paid out on the highway. We don't get any foot traffic in Barefoot Bay. We get Barefoot Bay traffic. So the 2 things that I object to is this glimpse of what I've got in this lease, that he wants to pay less money and only a small amount of money for the safe place, the vault. No, every inch. He occupies it, he pays for it, is number one. If you have somebody coming in and they need to remodel and they're doing it at their expense, well, then you give them a break on the rent for a couple of months till they get on their feet. But there is no way that I feel comfortable with him coming in here and undermining an established restaurant as RJ's. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Name and address, please.
My name is Bernie Silveria. I live at 964 Cashew Circle. John, this is addressing you. On the stage that was built, why was it built there? And it has not been used. We spent X amount of dollars. What are we going to do with that? It's in the most awful spot you could put a stage in because it doesn't face anywhere but the stairs going down to the lake. So I would like to know why that was built, spending all the money for a location that is absolutely ludicrous for a stage for bands. I would like to hear something about that from the board. Did the board vote on this? Did they? No answer?
We don't have to discuss this now.
Oh, okay. I hope we do discuss it at some point, because that was a waste of money.
Any other participant, anyone else? This segment is now closed. Being there's a lot of people here to discuss about the guest passes for the food, exceptions for the food and beverage event, I'm gonna, the unfinished business should be coming up first, but I'm gonna change it and ask the board that we allow, take a 9A, discussion of guest pass exemptions for food and beverage events. No, is that the one? Yes. So, if that's okay with the board, we'll make that go first.
That's fine, that's fine.
Okay. John, you want?
Mr. Chairman, trustees, residents gathered here and at home, Trustee Compton requested this to be placed on the agenda. A little background: in 2016, the board amended the policy manual to exempt food and beverage events from requiring guest passes. I believe elephant in the room is the event called Music Bingo on Monday night that's held in Building A. And if there's any specific questions, I'm here to answer them.
Yeah, let me just speak to this for a minute. As a trustee candidate, and as well as during my short time here as a trustee, there's not been a single issue that's been brought to me any more than Monday night bingo, and the fact that there's not enough space, and apparently we have people coming in from outside the bay. And you know, it's a great event. It's a Monday night. There's not a lot going on the river. People can come here. They eat. They drink. Mr. That runs it. Dave Mumaw. I'm sorry. Mr. Mumaw has done a good job of tweaking that event to make it attractive to the people that come. It fills the house up. There's a group of people that's the most fun thing for them that they do during the week. And I think we need to do whatever we can do to make it more accessible to the people who live here in Barefoot Bay. And I'm not sure what the easiest thing is to do. I prefer not to go down a road where we have to workshop this and take 2 months to make something happen. Maybe we just make a motion to have a waiver of the requirement that says the food and beverage events are open, just like we're going to do in a few minutes for the ethnic club. But we need to do something. We need to start checking badges. We need to pay people, let people pay to come in. So I mean, I suppose that's up for maybe Mr. Coffey or somebody to say, well, here's what needs to be done. Here's how we can make that happen as soon as possible.
So wait, so you're saying, excuse me, but you're saying you want them checked on Monday, but you want them not checked for the Barefoot on the Lake or whatever that thing is.
That's
And
correct.
You don't want them checked. So you don't want them checked for that, but you want them checked on Monday. Well, did anybody ever ask these people if they really belong here or they don't? How do you know they don't belong here? I mean, did you ask them to see their badge? I mean, really, you know they don't belong here?
Hey.
I'm here twice a month, and there's a lot of people here tonight that I don't know. I mean, do you guys all have your badges with you? I mean, do you guys all belong here? Do you know what I'm saying? Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, maybe they do live here, but you just don't know them.
If I could respond to Mr. Compton's comments, technically, this would require amending the policy manual at a future board. If it's the board's intent to implement guest passes for music bingo, we can do that starting next week. It basically put a pool host in the hallway, and we'll check badges and bags like if they were going into the pool.
Okay, Mr. Coffey, I believe we've got somebody there now just because to control the people going in, right? In other words, we already have to have somebody.
No.
Okay, well, how do we know when there's 200 people there then? I thought we had somebody there. Okay. So if we can do that, that would be great.
Sure. If you guys choose, you're correct that we would need to pass a resolution, but you could direct staff to start charging the fee in the event that you're going to implement the resolution sometime in the future. That's okay too.
Do we do that by motion?
Yes.
So, I'm neither for or against this, but my questions about it are this. So we have a policy, and the policy would have to be changed, correct? I mean, that has to be done by a motion, and it has to be a resolution to change the policy. The question I have then is, if you're going to do this for Monday night bingo, we are just going to specify it's only Monday night bingo? And what about all the other things we have that people come up with? That's something you have to consider. You have to consider, do we have an idea? We're not going to put checking for pickleball courts and the 19th hole and all of those things that we talked about before that could be upwards of $50,000 to have people at all these things. We're not talking about that, correct?
If you're going to do that, you're going to have to do it for all the events.
Well, that's my point. That's my
Pickleball,
point.
tennis court, for all your clubs that go under building D&E and building A. And so, sometimes.
Again, my questions are for...
Please,
my questions are for the trustees here. I'm trying to discuss this with the trustees. Again, so if we go to do something, it's going to have to be very specific. And I think it takes more than just saying, snap our fingers and we're going to do that. I'm not against checking people. I'm just simply saying you don't just do something like that and say you're going to do it. You have to think this out a little bit.
Every event that you have in Building A every day, and if there is no going on, well, actually, it looks the way you would do it is you would close the building down, because you're going to have somebody at that door at all times.
Mr. Chairman.
Can we, I guess I'm asking you, can we pass a resolution specifying that we did something like this with a food and beverage, where we have a policy right now saying it's open to everybody, food and beverage? Can we pass it specifically for music bingo and not get in trouble with all these other events?
Yes, you could pass it specifically. The resolution would be up to you how you wanted to implement it.
Mm-hmm.
But your thing is, your pickleball, your tennis court, all them, will also have to be involved.
Well, I guess I
In
just.
any other events that go on in Building A or even D&E. So you're opening up a can of worms.
I guess I guess I'm saying I just remember recently where we had complaints coming to the administration and to the board about, I believe it was tennis courts or something, and people were coming in and using them, and people said, no, we got to close this all off. We got to put somebody here checking who uses the tennis courts every day. So I think this takes a little more thought than just saying we're going to do it, because you have to be ready to tell everyone else that it's open and only this is closed. And I just think it takes a little bit of thought.
That's of course a consideration. You guys can pass the resolution however you see fit.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
one of my concerns, and I had a lengthy conversation last night with Cliff Reppinger, our attorney, and it was on our policy and our procedure on how we handle all of these practices, all the fees with the clubs, not just with the clubs, but with food and beverage, and with the tennis courts, the pickleball courts, the private residence. And I wanted to be clear that the rules that we've written that we really don't follow, just so everybody is real clear, that typically we do not follow these. If we were to follow, we have some clubs who, when they have an event, they actually charge the $3 for their non-residents when they have an event, and that goes over to the district. I believe it's one out of all the clubs that we have. We have two churches that meet. One church charges the $3 for the non-homeowners that attend that church. One does not. We're inconsistent with the way that we're rolling out the rules of our policy now. So what I want to be sure that as we step forward, that we have a consistency. Whether music bingo is a carve out, and we say, okay, we're going to make that the exception. And I'm with Mike. I'm neither for or against it. I'm okay with whatever the homeowners want. But I want to make sure that we're fair and we're consistent. What this will open up is if we do this and we carve out music bingo, we need to look at our policy and we need to enforce every single letter of the law of our policy. That would then stop a lot of these things back and forth. It would stop, if you're not a homeowner, you're going to pay $3 to come. And what that's going to do, that's going to affect clubs like Little Theater, who is a viable club, but when they sell a performance, does that mean, do we look at it like, okay, you're going to pay for your ticket for Little Theater, but when you get here, we're going to check for a badge, but how do you make an exception? You're saying we follow the rule in one case, but we don't follow it in another. So without changing policy and without changing the rules that we've got set, then if we follow them, that is what that means. That does mean that, in those examples, you have to charge it because that's what our rules say. So I want to be cautious, and as we change rules, that we do it one time. And that when we do change our rules that one time, that we then take and follow these rules. And maybe we all need to read them a little bit closer. Maybe we all need to read them a little bit tighter. And maybe we need Cliff to explain to us a little bit more about what we actually wrote ourselves and put out here. I want to make sure that we're fair. I want to make sure that we do it right. And I also want to make sure that we're not showing favoritism. It wouldn't be discrimination. This bay does not on purpose discriminate, but we can accidentally put ourselves in a corner of being a little bit disparaging to another group or club. For example, the churches. I think that's a classic example. If I have a Baptist church that pays and a Pentecostal church that doesn't pay, I'm going to look like I'm favoring the Baptist over the Pentecostal or the Pentecostal over the Baptist. And I don't want that. I don't want that in front of the board. I don't want the board to have to make those kind of judicial decisions. I don't think it's fair to the board. When we have rules, let's follow them. So, Mr. Chairman, if we are going to do that and we are going to change our policies, then let's make sure that we review our policies so that they're clear, they're concise, and they're exact.
I agree with you.
Okay.
Anyone else? So what is your pleasure? Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. You, miss, yes.
My name is Donna Bevington. I live at 907 Hyacinth, and I asked Roger to put this on the agenda. I don't know why people can't go through the hostess to come into a building for bingo. I don't know why you can't have a motion for just musical bingo that they have to show it. You can do anything with the law, pretty much anything, as long as you aren't violating another law. You can say anything you want as long as it's black and white. You can do anything you want. So you can make a motion and you can pass some kind of motion that says, just for musical bingo, you have to show ID. It isn't fair that our people are being told you can't come here because Snug Harbor or Sebastian or someone else is here. I think the Irish Club won't let me go to their club. And yet, why? What's the difference? I believe that we need to take care of our people before we take care of Snug Harbor. That our people are being turned away. Our people are being there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon so they have some place to sit because other people are coming in taking our seats. So please think about our residents and our enjoyment, because this is my favorite night of the week. I love Monday night. Please think of us first before you think about Snug Harbor. You can pass a motion that has to do with just this event. You can. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Richard?
This is one of the reasons I suggest people come to Board of Trustees meetings. Several years ago, when we were talking about people using the tennis courts and looking at IDs, we did not want to have our employees going out there and being in the position to ask people for their IDs at courts. At a past Board of Trustees meeting, the board decided at food and beverage activities overall, we would not charge fees to let people come into these activities. People could have came to meetings and discussed this issue with you, the people that were here, and you made that decision. A couple of years ago, when we had the ethnic festival, that topic was also brought up about the fact if outsiders would have to pay money and come into the ethnic festival and buy food. And the board at that time decided to make an option that they would not have to do it. So the board is here. The board does make the decisions. One of the problems is we don't have a lot of residents to come here and hear what you say and have a discussion before decisions are made. But you do a good job overall. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One additional question. If we look at something, and again, I agree with what Randy was talking about, of looking at all the policy, but if we do something and we're going to only allow residents, and would it be something then, like let's say someone is visiting and they're at a family and they were going to go to music bingo that night with a resident, they would have to come in and get a pass then?
Yes.
Is that what we do?
Yes, they would have to get a guest pass.
But they would be allowed, though. Mm.
So, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put a motion out that we begin checking badges for Monday Night Bingo. Our policy has not been revised since 2016, so we can move forward with a plan to go back and revisit that section of the policy manual. I agree with what's been said. We need to be following our policies. That's important, but at the same time, they've got to be flexible enough to accommodate things like this that come up. We did not expect in 2016 that the county was going to come in and limit us to 200 people in the building when we've probably been putting 250 in Building A. So things happen. We've got to be dynamic enough to accommodate those and accommodate our people. I think the Bay, the residents of the Bay overwhelmingly will support this, and that would be my motion tonight.
I mean, you will, so when you do have that, you will have a pool host sitting there outside in the quarter, checking badges, checking bags and everything, and if you're not a resident, if they want to come in, they have to pay the $3.
You pay the $3 or you don't come in if you're not a resident.
Okay.
I'm not sure I understand it. Wait, anyone, or just members of a family visiting, anyone can just come and pay the money?
But they got to be,
I mean, how is that going to make more room if the people just come in and pay the money?
That's the question.
That's not going to help anything.
Please.
Mr. Chairman.
May
I speak? The way I understand it is if somebody does come, they have to be with a homeowner. So
Homeowner,
they'd have to be a
yes.
guest of a homeowner. That would take care of that. When I mention taking care of the policy, I'm talking about when this board is no longer here and another board is here. If we make a motion right now and we do not change the policy, any board on any ad hoc moment can change this policy back. So that's why I think it's important to do both in tandem. I agree with Roger, we can take and we can put a fix there. That's a logistic problem. To put somebody at the door checking badges is logistics. That's Kathy and that's on John. I don't think that's a board decision. I think the board decision is, do we make that a rule? And do we give John that direction of, John, we want somebody there on Monday nights? Now, keep in mind, that's only going to last the length of our tenure up here on this board, because the next board could come in and be totally against that. That's why we've got to have something that is stated in the policy. We've got to have something that is stated in the laws. We've got to have something that people can follow consistently, and that future boards can apply consistently.
If we're gonna do that, yes, you should have something in your policy staying to that effect too.
Yes.
Instead of us voting on something, then turning around, the new board will come and change it back
Yeah.
to the old thing, and it's not gonna work.
And
You're
I think
gonna
I think to scratch this immediate itch of the Monday night dilemma, I agree with Roger. You know, somebody at that door checking badges might be the answer. John can come up with an answer. You know, we've got how many more Monday nights during season? We need to do something now. I think that we do need to make a decision tonight on an immediate fix. But I think that immediate fix is not going to be our answer. We have to look at a long-term fix, and we need to not only make that motion to get this immediate fix, but within that motion, when are we going to fix the policy?
I can bring the policy manual back on the 14th of February.
Perfect.
So, Roger, your motion again, please.
My motion is that we start collecting or checking badges at the door. You have a badge or you have a guest pass to come into Music Bingo.
So in other words, if somebody does come with a resident, they gotta pay the $3.
Yes.
That's, okay. They cannot come on their own. They have to be with a resident. Well, we can't stop them. Go ahead, address it.
Anticipating that question may come up, I'd had a conversation with Cliff, and he believes if the board were so inclined, you could designate Building A not accessible to people who don't live in Barefoot Bay. Now, that would be, you know, that catches up Grandma Jones and her grandkids coming in. But there's a penalty comes to property taxes. We'd lose our tax exempt status on that building, and we'd start paying property taxes each year, Brevard County. So that is an option, but there's some negative ramifications.
Yeah,
to it.
I think realistically, you just can't keep everybody from coming in.
Right.
A guest pass is a guest pass. It gives you access to everything in the facility. It sounds real good to say, no, we won't let guest passes in until your grandkids are here or you have family here that you want to bring, and then it's not such a good idea. So at least those people who come, they'll be paying, they'll be contributing to the event. And there'll be some that won't come. There'll be some people that aren't willing to pay $3 to come to that event. But
I want to make sure that I understand Roger's motion. So, Roger, your motion is to check badges at the door. If they do not have a badge, they need to be with a homeowner and pay the $3 guest pass fee.
that's correct.
Yes.
So he's not saying that anybody that wants to come and pay $3 can come in. They have to follow the rules that we already have outlined in our policy of you have to be with a homeowner, and the homeowner has to escort you in, and you have to pay the $3 fee.
And they can also come in down there on their own if they pay $15.
That's another issue.
If they
Yeah.
get that $15 pass, my understanding is, Joe, they have to be with a homeowner.
No, they don't.
And a homeowner has to get that $15 pass. Any stranger cannot walk off the street and buy a $15 pass.
Yes, you can.
And the other side of this is the residents will have to police this to some degree themselves, because you're going to have people walking up the door who aren't residents and who don't have friends here who's going to say, hey, will you sign me in? Will you get me a guest pass? So the residents are going to have to make sure that you don't let that happen, or else the problem's not going to be solved by doing this.
I still don't believe it's gonna get resolved one way or another, but that's fine. Then that's the motion you made. I need a second.
Joe, can I say
Go ahead.
Don Fall, 1046 Sebastian Road. I think the only issue we have here with Building A and Music Bingo is in season. Maybe you should just start out with a date from October to whatever to show your passes and go from there. And if that does work, then carry on and put it into your, your groups or whatever. I think you should do baby steps first and then go on from there.
But you can also remember, this is the busiest time of the year when all the
Yes.
snowbirds come in here. So
That's
why
right.
when
And I
you
think
see,
you
see that building packed, that doesn't necessarily mean they're from Snug Harbor, from Palm Bay or somewhere. There could be the people right here from the Bay, and there's a lot of them that are visiting, and they have passes to come in and all that, and that's why you said, well, they're new faces. Yeah, they can be new faces, because every month we sell a lot
I
of
know when I get
property and
people, my company that come in, I get them passes.
Right.
And no matter where I go, they go. So I think maybe if they wanted to go to Music Bingo, they're going to have their pass, if they're their company or whatever.
Right.
So I say you just do baby steps and see how it works out for y'all, instead of putting this in here and making it solid. Let's try it first. And the same way with your saying pickleball and all that, we do have cards that for the RV lots. Maybe in the near future, your badge will be your slot to get into the pickleball courts. I know there is people using them that do not belong in Barefoot Bay, and I see that. But I mean, that's just something to think about. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to clarify a comment. I believe as a recreational district, if an outsider without a guest pass or no connection to the bay can come in and use like our pool facilities, if they pay like a $15 or $17 fee,
$15, yes.
because we are a recreational district, and they don't have to have any association with the bay or any of the residents. If you could clarify that, please.
Go ahead, John.
The policy manual currently has a $15 visitor pass that anyone can purchase without having an association with a resident.
Yeah.
That has to be purchased at the admin building, and in my 6+ years here, we've not sold one of them. Now, according to Mr. Reppinger, you can revoke that part, but it has that tax, you start getting into the tax issue. But that is, you can't show up at Music Bingo at 5 o'clock and buy a $15 visitor's pass.
So again, excuse me, Mr. Chairman, again, with the tax problem, if we were to do something specifically just with Monday Night Bingo, we're not running into any problems with the tax problem like you talked about closing the building? No?
Go ahead.
Dave Wheaton, 1477 Barefoot Circle. If you're going to, well, the green light's on. Can anybody hear me? Okay. If you're going to limit it to residents and their guests with passes, you're restricting the whole concept of recreational district. And I probably would need clarification on whether or not we'd lose the tax exemption status on that building if you did that. Is that,
Could you answer that question?
is that a valid question of whether we would lose the tax exempt status?
You wouldn't lose the tax exempt status if you passed it specifically for the bingo. If, like Mr. Coffey was saying, if you guys were to talk about a resolution where you prevented all people that were not residents from coming to those events, that would be different.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
But again, you said for that one specific thing, we would not have a problem preventing all non-residents.
For the one specific thing, you're stating if there's an issue with the $15 guest pass?
No,
what
I'm saying is we would not have this tax problem if we pass a motion saying the only people allowed here are residents, resident badges, and with the guest pass, we don't have a problem with the tax issue for that one specific, John is saying we don't have it, right? That one specific deal.
Right.
Okay.
All right, that's the last one, then we'll have to get
Connie
back.
Bennett, 932 Spruce
come
Street. My concern, if you're talking about music bingo, and I understand in season it's crowded everywhere, and I get that, but if you're going to restrict badges on music bingo, what are you going to do for the festival? What are you going to do for the, where they sell the quilts and stuff? What's it called? Craft shows and stuff like that. I don't see where you can do it on one specific thing and not do it on the rest.
Please.
I mean, clearly the rationale for doing it at Music Bingo is because we're limited to 200 people and we have 250 who want to go. Well, the
Right.
festival, it's been brought up twice now, we can put 5,000 people out here. There's not a space issue. I mean, it's
Right.
a pretty clear,
Right. Yeah.
it's a pretty clear difference between those sort of events.
Well, can you, what my question is, are you allowed to just limit that one thing? Because there's a lot of other things that are open to the public.
I think the consensus here tonight has been that yes, we can do that.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Then I think if that's, that's what it's going to be, but not limit everything else to people not being able to come in, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to add, as a restaurant owner, prior restaurant owner, I don't know what kind of message you're sending to people that want to come in and use, rent the buildings that we have, because you're wanting to put a restaurant behind a restaurant, a bakery, plus sandwiches and all that.
We're going off topic.
Yeah. Okay. I just think it's totally unfair to the people that are already there. Anyway, thank you.
That agenda will be coming up. You can speak at that time. All right, Jeannie. One more.
Just clarification. Jean Osborne, 100 Cherokee. I think we need to decide. We are not a recreational district. We are a recreation district. There is a difference. And when people discuss recreation, it's not the same. It's just not the same. And I really think you ought to remember that the number of people in the building has been determined by the fire department, not our regulations, but the fire department.
Thank you, Jeannie. Yes. Okay, we have a motion on it. We need a second.
Roger, can you repeat your motion?
Okay, repeat the motion and he's going to repeat the motion.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we begin immediately checking badges at the Building A Music Bingo on Monday night, that we allow Barefoot Bay residents and guests with purchased guest passes in only.
I'll second.
There is a second. Any further discussion on that motion? If none, all in favor of that motion with a voice vote. Randy?
Yes.
Roger?
Yes.
Luann? Mr. Mino?
I'm leery of it, but I'm just leery of the legal responsibilities of what we're doing here with everything else, but I will vote yes.
I will go yes. So it's 4-1, motion passes. Okay, we will now go to back to the old business, which is the lounge Lakeside expansion conceptual design. John?
Last week, there was a workshop that a resident was asked to work with a group of residents and a member of the board to come up with conceptual design. That has been included in this packet. Staff requests direction on how you'd like us to proceed.
Trustees?
Well,
Luann?
well, first of all, Is it, oh, it's on. You guys all know what we're talking about. Do you know what we're talking about? Y'all have a copy of this? Do it. They don't need a copy. Well, anyway, there was a, the pool people were here this morning. The pool people were, thank you. The pool people were here this morning, and to put, my computer's going crazy, and to put the blue section down here where they were launching boats and stuff, and we thought we could put the heater down there and the pit and all that stuff for the pool, is not going to happen. So that's out, okay? But the gentleman with the pool said we could put a 10 by 10 slab or 8 by 8 or whatever in the green area at the top. Up there, we could put the pool heater there, and so we would still be able to take that building down, the heater building down, fill in the pit, do everything that we wanted to do, but that blue section is going to remain steps down to the pool, down to the water. And hang on a second. Somebody else talk.
You know, your lounge expansion, you're talking about the lounge, that's yours.
Just a couple of comments about this. We've had 2 or 3 meetings on it now. I am in favor of some type of lounge expansion to provide some type of outside seating so that you do get some additional seating, and that we would have some type of structure. And again, details of what it is not, I'm talking about concept, and I think that's what we all have to remember. Some type of a cover that would be used during inclement weather. And I'm all in favor of doing something like that. This proposal here, I'm not in favor of. I'm not in favor of the whole magnitude of what it is. I'm not in, from what we know about moving those buildings down by the water and everything else, I'm not in favor of that. I'm not in favor of the $100-some thousand it's going to cost to rip up all that concrete and put the piping down. I just don't think that's what we want. I also think we're going to do something, and parts of this, the yellow maybe, or something, maybe we need something like that, because we do need a covered area where people can go during inclement weather. But I think we've discussed this at 2 or 3 meetings now and have all kinds of plans coming. It's about time we direct our staff and our experts and our architects and our engineers to come up with some type of site plan and come back to this board with a recommendation that would be feasible, rather than just going out and putting things together and then finding out, well, you can't really do that. Again, I'm in favor of something here, but I think we need our staff to come back with some type of a proposal.
You like to give a direction to the staff?
I agree with Mike on this, in the respect that they went out, we gave direction, the homeowners went out, and they did come back with some concept here. And they did exactly what we asked them to do. They came back and gave us their vision of what they feel that they may want. I think now that the direction needs to go to John and Kathy to work with TLC to come back with a professional drawing from TLC that does cover our covered area, and what John and Kathy are what their concept is and how they want to utilize it. We have the idea of what the homeowners want. Let's take what the homeowners want, give it to John and Kathy, let them move it forward with TLC, take this out of our hands until it's professionally brought back, and then we can make a decision on it.
I brought this up, so I agree completely. And you have to remember that for what we're going to spend on this, we're not going to, as we talked about before, we're not going to improve one single seat inside the lounge. So we're simply talking about outside and some type of structure for inclement weather. So I think we need something, but again, we don't need a Taj Mahal. What we need is simply something where these people can go when it starts that light drizzle and light rain and everything. So I agree with Randy that it's about time that this goes to the professional people and come back with some type of site plan.
Roger?
I'm right there with my colleagues. We've had workshops, we've had resident input here with these recommendations. Now I think it's time that it goes to staff. Staff can pull it all together, work with TLC, I personally would not like to see 3 or 4 different concepts come back. I'd like to see one good solid concept come back. We can tweak that a little bit if we need to, but I don't want to spend the next 6 months debating 1, 2, or 3. I'd like to get something in here that we can wrap up pretty quick, that's going to work, that people want, and move forward with it. So I say move it on to
So you want to make
staff.
that in the form of a motion? What do you want to do?
I'll make a motion. I make a motion that we take the homeowner concept, we move it forward to John, to move forward to TLC, to come back to us with a professional drawing.
I'd second that.
Any other discussion on that motion? If none, all in favor of that motion, voice count. Randy?
Aye.
Roger?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Luann? Joe, yes. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, one final
Yes.
comment. I don't want people to think, though, that we don't appreciate the things
Yes.
that they did. We did direct them to do this, and I think the concept and everything they've done is exactly got us to a point now where, okay, something will definitely get done. So,
Right, I understand. So they can follow this and get some ideas. Thank you. Next is the ethnic favor request for a waiver for guest pass requirements, and I had that put on the agenda, and it's for our ethnic festival. There's 5 clubs that are involved with this, and if we charge money for the people that come in, that come here to eat and everything and go into the building, they will not bother coming in. So I'd like to have somebody make a motion to waive this.
I'd just like to say one thing. So now you're gonna waive the passes for that, but they're, you people are nuts.
I need a motion.
Joe, I make a motion that we waive that,
And I'll
for the
second it.
ethnic festival.
Okay, any further discussion on that motion? The guest passes for the ethnic festival. And it's only till through 3 o'clock, I think, to 3 o'clock. So,
is this, I just understand, is this what we've done before?
yes.
Okay. Mhm.
And, okay, there is a motion, a second. All in favor, I'm going to excuse myself from this one. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Thank you. Next is the shopping center lease proposal. Oh, the old doctor's office involved. John?
The worst-kept secret of the night is we have a proposal to lease the old doctor's office and what we call the vault, the storage area. Mr. Cavalieri submitted it through our leasing agent at Coldwell Banker Paradise. The terms that he proposed are listed in the agenda. I believe Mr. Cavalieri is still in the building. Nope, there he is.
I haven't lost that much weight, John.
If you have questions of staff, we will try to answer them.
You have it?
Good evening, trustees. I'll tell you this, I like it more over here than over there. And it just, to kind of be humorous, you're going to revisit that whole policy issue you just talked about. You're probably going to do that 6 more times before this calendar year is out. I speak from experience. Before I talk about the proposal that we have before you, I'd just like to talk about the Barefoot Bay the rumor mill, and the things that are going on out there in Facebook and in Barefoot Bay land. First, yesterday, I was told that I'm going to waste my time being here tonight, that a decision's already been made, a deal's already been made, and I find that hard to believe because that would mean there's some serious violations of sunshine laws. So I find that one is just a useless rumor. There's also a rumor that the reason we're looking to move is that we're in some serious disputes with our present landlord, and that's not the reason we're looking to move. As a matter of fact, I didn't know we had problems with our landlord until I saw postings that she had made on Facebook today. The reason that we're looking to relocate is, number one, we do not have a lease in Unit 1. That's the old ice cream shop. We're there month to month. We have a lease in Unit 2, which was our original bakery, which was 800 square feet. That lease goes away automatically if they should sell the building. They are presently trying to sell the building. As you know, if you've watched me over the years when I sat in Randy's chair there, I'm very concerned with the future. I'm always looking to the future. I have a son and an adopted daughter, now John's daughter, they're taking over the business, and I have to be concerned about them having longevity, just as 2002 was concerned about their longevity. As far as the landlord's postings on Facebook today, I've already reached out to Cliff and to Charles to tell them I can prove that a lot of those statements were not truthful, but I'm not going to get into a public peeing match with the Hex. I would say that there was one posting on Facebook today that said that they were unreasonable with us with trying to put the bounce house out there for the Christmas event that we had for the kids, and I think that's an erroneous statement. They were being business people. They were concerned about making sure somebody had insurance, and quite frankly, that was an oversight on my part. I just assumed when you have insurance, everything's insured. They gave us plenty of time to have the vendor supply the certificate of insurance. So I don't have problems with my landlord, other than here and there we have hiccups, just like any landlord-tenant relationship would have. The other thing I want to clarify is that I am not, nor have I ever been, an owner of Holy Cannoli. I own the majority of the equipment in there from a previous business that my brother had with me up in Palm Bay. I've put some sweat equity into that business to try to build it up. When John and I first started Holy Cannoli, the thought process we had was to generate funds to give back to the community. And I'm not going to list everything we've done for the community, but I think we've done quite a bit for this community. The fourth thing I keep hearing is that we want to hurt 2002. And that's the farthest thing there is from the truth. Number one, I think it was just after Thanksgiving, I reached out to 2002. I left my card for RJ, that I had a cooker holder that I wanted to give him. It's a fairly valuable piece of equipment. He said he wasn't interested in it. I said, okay. On December 31st, which was New Year's Eve, which is a big night for the restaurant business, there was a gas leak at the shopping center. I personally drove to 2002 and offered the use of our kitchen facilities if they felt they would have their dining room open that night to serve their dinners. Now, that doesn't sound to me like somebody that wants to hurt a business. As far as competing with RJ's, we're two totally different entities. They are a sit-down, full-service restaurant. We at most offer sandwiches. With the new location, it's going to be smaller than what we have now. At most, if we're lucky, we might have 2 tables with 2 chairs at each table inside. That's about the most we figure we can fit in there, and I don't think we're going to be able to fit that in there. I had reached out to Nina almost a month ago at the suggestion of members of staff to sit down and talk to her with what she would like us to see, what she would like to see us delete from our overall food offerings. We also envision working to build the shopping center's traffic flow. We have a lot of good ideas on things that we could do out in the field where we're obviously not going to build a building that would have solved a lot of the problems you were just trying to solve with changing policies. But I don't want to go down that road. But I'd like to work with them to bring people to their door, not away from their door. We have quite a bit of clientele that comes from Sebastian, Melbourne, Palm Bay, because we do have a unique product line. We have a huge following from the New York, New Jersey, Northeast region of the country. I'd like to see us work with them as far as what we do with the shopping center. I think we could have a lot of events if we did even quarterly events, especially during the summer. We don't do anything for the homeowners where they have a place to go and have functions. They can have the exclusive on the food. I don't want the food. I want ice cream. I want desserts. I want cannolis. The name of the business is Holy Cannoli. That's what we're known for. as I said, we've done a lot for the community. Now, I want to give a little bit of history on my past time as a trustee, because Miss Liddy is 100% right. That one of the first things I did as a trustee was try to establish a policy of rental rates in the shopping center. The first lease that was brought before us was Ray Mock. We were also working on our first budget. It was 2015. I was where you are. It was February of 2015 as we're negotiating the lease with Ray. When I saw what his per square footage rate was, my teeth almost fell out. I mean, it was ridiculously low. I don't think it was $5 a foot. We did make an agreement to leave him there, and he had slow increases. This is nothing against 2002. You guys did a great job negotiating the assumption of the lease. Did a great job. As a business owner, I applaud it. I would do the same thing. That was the one meeting that I missed as a trustee. I was off in Haiti building beds. When I got back and I saw the tape of that meeting and saw the assumption of that lease, and I didn't know who bought the business. It didn't matter. It was, how could you guys let them assume this lease? But they did. I said this was a slap in the face. If you look at the meeting right after that meeting, I had it put on the agenda. Again, I sat right where Randy is, and I said, we just slapped every tenant in that shopping center in the face because we're insisting that they pay this rate, and then when you turn around and you let another business come in and assume a low ball rate. I think they did a great job. I don't think the BOT did a good job. And I'm quite surprised that none of these tenants came back to renegotiate their rents, because I fully expected to get hammered by the 3 leases that we did approve.
Frank, I want to get to where you're,
Joe, I'm
what you
in
want.
the middle of my proposal, all
Okay.
right? I'm trying to establish, well, I think I get more than 3 minutes because I'm making a proposal. And it's good to know that I still have the same amount of fans that I had out there now as I had when I sat over there. It's good to see you all again. I wish you all a Happy New Year. I've gotten over it. Now, before I lose my train of thought, because I'm having another birthday soon, I'm getting older and older and older, I didn't just pull a number out of the air. I sat down, I looked at all the leases that are in the shopping center. I looked at how long this office has been vacant. It's been vacant for 5 years. Right now, the district is absorbing the CAM costs. You're absorbing the real estate taxes. You have no income coming from that location. The water company today told me the water's been off for 4 years. We're not asking the Bay to do anything to that location other than change the electric panel in it. And that's scheduled to be done this summer. I even, in a conversation with Mr. Coffey, offered to put the money up. I got a price from Mike Beatty. It's $1,500 to $2,000. I said, John, if the district can't afford it, we will put the money up, and you can credit us on the rent down the road. As far as competition, if you go out to the Winn-Dixie Plaza, you have Subway, a Chinese restaurant, and a pizza restaurant, all right there. They're all doing well. You have us, we're already basically in the Bay. We're just outside the Bay. We're already here. So it's not like we're going to be new competition to them. As I said earlier, we bring people in from outside the Bay that will be potentially new customers for 2002. If we do cross-merchandising, we can help each other out. That's how I envision doing business as a neighbor to 2002. I don't want to hurt them. I want to help them. I want to help the convenience store. I want to help the entire shopping center. I want to see it flourish, see people there, see the values of those stores go up. That's what I would like to see as a homeowner in Barefoot Bay. Other than that, if you have any questions for me, I'm here for you.
Trustees?
I don't have any questions, but I do have some comments. So,
Yeah, I do too.
Are we ready for that?
Go ahead.
Again, you know, this is a very touchy issue, and I appreciate the comments of Mr. Cavallari, and I appreciate the comments, everyone, that they've been either for or against. The issue of competition is something that is going to be very difficult for me to even try to answer or whatever, so I'm going to jump right to a couple other things instead. I assume we're interested in trying to rent the building. I assume that is our goal, you know, okay. If that's the case, then we do have the policy, and Mr. Cavalier is right, he was on the board when this was adopted, and it is a policy that's very specific. So if we're looking to do that, that policy has to be changed. If we're going to change any fees or anything else, it would have to be changed. If in fact that happens, if in fact that was to come up and be a motion, then I would direct our staff to have the authority to negotiate the contract with the parties concerned. Not just simply look at a proposal like this and want to vote on it. I think there has to be negotiations done, not by this board, but by our administrative staff, and they meet with the parties and they come back with a recommendation. But this policy, the policy would definitely have to be changed before you can do any of this, because the policy is very specific.
May I ask, what is the policy?
I'm talking about the amounts and the things that they have in that general contract for what the rents will be.
Raj?
Well, that's not a policy, actually, that's just negotiated with each lease. I don't know that we have a fixed policy of what our lease schedule is going to be, lease fees.
Didn't Frank have, when he was on the board, didn't he say it was $10 a foot?
The $10 a square
Yeah, it's
foot.
$10 a foot, it
was
is.
an
Yeah.
informal board policy. It's not written anywhere.
Okay.
That was a goal that we had established, but that kind of blew up on the assumption of the 2002 lease. The other thing I'd like to say, because you want to talk about competing businesses, a precedent has been set by a previous board of trustees. We did approve the lease for Barefoot Bay Realty to come into the shopping center. The lease was prepared. That was competition to Joy Liddy. And I know to this day she doesn't like me for that, even though I try to send her customers. And I can understand her point. But at the same time, that business was an existing business. It's the same scenario. If you're coming into an area and you see two real estate agents, you can go into both offices and see who you like the best. And at that time, I mean, Miss Liddy was primarily in the rental business. She's now gone into sales, and I'm glad to see that she's doing well. But a precedent has been set to put in competing business. You have food now in the convenience store. And that used to be, you know, when it was the 7-Eleven or whatever it was, they did make sandwiches there. They did more in the food line than they're doing now. For whatever reason, Kenny chose to get out of that. But Kenny does see us as a positive thing to come to the shopping center. So, I mean, no matter who you talk to, you're going to get different opinions on it. But a precedent was set, in whether it was 2017 or 2018, that nobody in that shopping center has an exclusive on anything. Their exclusivity is that they can be a restaurant. But I don't have a problem. If they're selling pies, God bless them, sell pies. You selling black and white cookies, God bless you, sell black and white cookies. It enhances their business. And they are, again, they're a sit-down, full-service, dine-in restaurant. We're a grab-and-go store at best. And the bulk of our business is in the dessert line, which, to the best of my knowledge, they don't have display cases. They don't sell desserts. So we're not really going to compete. We're hoping to build up our ice cream business, which is, again, why we want to generate more traffic at that shopping center.
Mr. Chairman, I'm in a unique position here from one perspective of sitting in Frank's old seat.
And you kind of look like
So-
me when you're sitting there,
So
too.
therefore, I'm definitely going to channel a little bit of Frank. I know Frank, he's a friend of mine. I know John, he's a neighbor. So having disclosed that, I also know the good that Holy Cannoli has done for this community and donations and efforts and everything else. Having said that, I also know the good that RJ's has done for this community. I also know the challenges that this board gave RJ's. I remember 2 summers ago when they took over for Ray Mock, and they had a bad inventory that they took over. They had some horrible cleanup issues that they had to go through. I do remember that, and I remember the board cutting them a slight break, and I remember the board raising their rent. I also remember those discussions of us setting this or that board setting the precedences of what our rent should be. Again, and then it goes to Joy Liddy. I see Joy Liddy every Tuesday. I'm in the CVO office volunteering. I know the good that Joy Liddy does, and I know where she came from her rent. I know Sonny in there. I know what we worked with Walter Schmidt when we worked a deal with him to move from the side that he's on over to the side that he's going to. Now, having said that, I get everybody's story here. From a board perspective, I'm always going to stand on the side of the homeowners as a whole, as you would have, Frank. As when you came back and you saw the lease and you said, wow, what was that board thinking, giving that lease that way? I would have to sit in the same position. As far as competing, I would have been against Barefoot Bay Realty coming in, just so you know, had I sat on this board. I would have been dead against that because of it being a direct competition. I do believe that RJ's and the bakery are similar yet different. It's kind of like an apple and an orange business. However, my problem stems down to the cost. My problem stems down to a board before me set the pace and the cost and the square footage. So for me to say I can make an exception as a board member, that's the hard pill for me to swallow. It's not whether it's competing businesses, it's not past references, but the hard pill for me to swallow is trying to cut back on what a board before me set. And it has nothing to do with you, Frank. It has nothing at all to do with you. And again, like I say, John's my neighbor, you're my friend, and, you know, my decisions on this board, I live with the ramifications of it every day, just like you did. So for me, I'm going to be sitting on the side of the money's not right, the deal's not right. And I'm not sitting on a side of whether I like RJ's better or Holy Cannoli better. And I am going to sit on the side of Joy Liddy because that's the middle road here. That's my tenant that I got to sit on the side of. That tenant, Sonny, Walter Schmidt, those tenants. Whether that building sat empty or whether we leased it out, I've got to sit with the tenants that have been there, that have been loyal, that have pulled through, that pay their rent. We no longer have 2 seasons behind that somebody's trying to catch up. RJ's is on time with their rent, and they're caught up with their rent. And that's, you know, to me, that's what we expect, every tenant that's in here. And I believe that you would be too. So again, my vote on this is not going to be based on the type of business that's coming in. It's going to be based on the contract.
Well, I'm glad you want to go to contract. Okay, well, that same board that tried to set a rate of $10 a foot, then let the existing tenant assume a lease that's way under $10 a foot. With all their increases, and I've got the lease right with me if you'd like to review it.
No, I don't need to see what was established.
In 2026, from 26 to 29 is when they're going to pay their peak rents, and it's $7.72 a foot. How is that fair to Mr. Schmidt? How is that fair to Miss Liddy? How is that fair to the convenience store? How is that fair? So either you're going to have to adjust your rates to come down to what you're charging RJ's for all your tenants.
Those are not deals that I worked.
I understand
This is a deal that I'm working.
But they're deals, you're saying you want to do what the previous board set in place. Well, that's one of the deals they made.
But we also set that and we set it with Caldwell Banker, that our lease base rate was $10 a square foot.
All right. How about if I offer you do you want me to negotiate with staff or negotiate right here in a public meeting?
No, I want it to be negotiated
I
with
don't,
staff.
not going to negotiate here.
Mr. Chairman, I don't, you know, before you do anything in any negotiations, it has to be determined whether or not we change that policy. And I agree with Randy. You know, that was set. And
Yes.
so before you consider negotiations or anything else, as I mentioned in the 2 points, you have to decide whether or not you're going to change the policy. Because if you're not, then it's just a non-issue.
Okay. Roger? Are you there, Randy?
I am.
Roger?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a conflict for me because, again, I'm well familiar with Holy Cannoli. They have done a lot for the neighborhood. But at the same time, I can see the concern from RJ's. I mean, this, in their minds, this is a potential, it's potential competition, and they've struggled hard to get to where they are. I can see where it would be a problem for Miss Liddy and the other tenants. You know, if we're going to let this person come in and compete against one of our lessees there, then maybe at some point we may put another real estate office in or something. So I mean, it just there's a lot of worries for a lot of people going into this. I'm not so sure that it's really competition. I think it's being perceived that way, but I think the potential is that there's a synergy there that works for both of them, that may help both businesses. You drive down anywhere, you know, through Sebastian or any city, and you're going to see all your eating places grouped up together. You know, you're going to see a CVS and a Walgreens across the street from each other. There's something about bringing similar businesses together that seem to help both of them. I don't understand that because I'm not a retail guru, but it's an observation that's pretty clear when you drive through any community. I am a little bit cynical of the $8 per square foot lease payment. There's another just a quick question. In the lease, we have something that we call lease preparation that's going to be paid for by the owner. What exactly, Mr. Coffey, is the lease preparation? To me, that sounds like the owner, which is Barefoot Bay, is going to go in there and do the work to prepare that facility.
No, I think the lease preparation is the actual document, the lease.
Okay.
Cliff prepares the
preparation
documents.
of the lease. Okay, well, that makes sense then. So I don't know. I mean, I'm really kind of undecided at this moment as we sit here. I'm anxious to hear from Trustee Henderson, and surely it's a better deal if we can do a little more negotiation, and we can bring that lease fee up a little bit. Man, the building's sat empty there for 5 years. We've lost a lot of revenue. It would be nice to start to recover some of that. So I don't know. I'll probably decide when you ask for the vote.
Luann, are you done? Luann?
Well, I don't know. I've been thinking about this, and of course, I've known Frank for a long time too.
A little louder, I can't hear. Okay.
Well, then listen more carefully. I've known Frank for a long time, like everybody else has, and but I think that he's the one that set the rate for $10 a square foot. Now he's trying to dance around that, and bringing up RJ's, which is a whole nother story. And it has been empty for 5 years, and I get that, but I'm just not. I'm not sure that it isn't competition for RJ's. I think it would be competition. I think he would be taking money out of them or something. I'm just not sure about it, Frank. And that's all I have.
You know, I'm finding this quite humorous.
Everybody's questions. I got a lot to say about it.
Please. Okay.
Please, let me respond. He's answering all your questions.
Well, that's my presentation, sir.
Please.
Well, I think you did, but
Frank.
Okay.
No, I had 3
Okay, I'm gonna give a response into it. On this proposal lease, I'm not happy with the proposal that's been given here. And you're talking about negotiation. I like to see it up to where it should be. I agree with what Luann said. Roger, Randy, and Mr. Mino. So I just can't go along with what's given here and everything. And I noticed Joy Liddy was standing there. Does she want to say something? Come up to the mic. Come up to the mic. This is one I hate. I hate this kind of. I hate this.
All right, now can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Mr. Cavalier speaks with forked tongue. He sat in that seat, and he swore to me when we negotiated my lease, because I was having difficulties, as every realtor was having at the time, that there would be no competition. He didn't put it in writing, but his word is supposed to be bond. He is our trustee. We elected him. And now he stands here and lies and says it was policy, anybody can come in, good for competition. Yes, it is out on US 1. Yes, it is good for competition in a gosh darn big mall. It is not good for competition in Barefoot Bay. You are my people. You, the residents of Barefoot Bay, are who I cater to. Every one of us that has a business in here are service-oriented. Remember that, board. Service-oriented. We don't have people walking in off the highway begging for our business to come to Sebastian. They are here. We serve the people. Since 1995, November, I have been in that office. Since 1990, I have served Barefoot Bay. And I think we are doing ourselves an injustice to give him discounts and kissing his butt to do something to hurt us. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, there is a... Yes, please.
The proposal that he spoke about with the Coldwell Banker Paradise, it stated that the owner, relatively close, is looking to relocate. He, the baker, does not wish to say at this time, so he was lying, to give the name of the business. And she states that he states that he has a very vindictive landlord with problems, mean, cruel, spiteful landlord. And this is not, I'm not saying this, this is what Coldwell Bankers put it on paper. So he is definitely lying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, one more thing, and then I'm looking for a motion. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Susan Hill, and I live at 1448 Barefoot Circle. And Roger, I am a retail guru. I spent 35 years of my life in retail, and I have no pony in this race at all. And anybody in this room that knows me knows that Frank and I have had a very back and forth relationship since I've lived here 3 years ago. But Roger, you are correct. Businesses together, clumped together, we do that for a reason. It actually enhances your business. People have a choice where they want to go. We spent multi-million dollars looking into this. I know Macy's did. I was a regional manager, and I was a manager of a store manager. And you are correct, and that is why they do it. I know that there's other reasons in the building why they don't want Frank, and possibly the price. It's none of my business. Whatever you decide is what you decide. But you are incorrect that, and I have done many studies on this, that he would actually help your business, not hurt your business. Well, unless you've spent your life in retail, like I have spent my life in retail, I would challenge that. Retail food, okay.
Not you.
Okay.
Please do not speak.
All right, I'm done. It's all together. It's industries, it's merchandise, it's food. Well, that's why in big malls, in strip malls, down the road, over here, that's why it's all combined together. Okay, that's just my opinion. Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Okay, I am now looking for a motion. Okay, make it bad, but...
Thank you very much. As it stated in the paperwork that I handed you tonight, at RJ's Family Diner, we serve breakfast, lunch, dinner, along with desserts, homemade pies, homemade cakes, cookies, cannolis, and ice cream sundaes. This is exactly what he just stood here and said that he wants to bring in, which will take out our business. We are a loyal tenant. And as far as a snow job goes, I think it's snowing down here because you've been covered in the snowball. I
Thank
don't
you.
like what I heard from this man up here. I feel like he's a wolves in sheep's
Thank you.
clothing coming
Please.
after our business.
Thank you. Okay, all right. I am looking for a motion.
Just to clarify before you guys make any motion, you also would have the option to approve any proposed alternative lease terms.
Say that again, we'd have what?
So any motion would be to approve the proposed lease terms, and then, you guys would come back and negotiate the lease and whatnot, but you could also approve alternatives.
You could make a motion that's different from his proposal.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, again, I'm not sure if this is a motion, but
Gotta be a motion.
my concern is not about the competition. My concern is not about all the personality issues and the things that are being said and everything. It's more a business thing. It has more to do with the proposal itself. I'm not sure if the business would help or hurt him. I sure can't determine that like Sue can. But I am concerned that we have a precedent set for what it is that is a rental. And I'm not going to be in favor of supporting this proposal or any proposal until we determine whether or not that precedent is going to be changed.
Okay, well, no matter what, I still need a motion. There's gotta be a motion.
All right,
What do you wanna do?
I make a motion that we don't accept Frank's offer as it stands. If he wants to renegotiate, that's one thing, but I make a motion, we do not accept Frank's motion, or Frank's
The
proposal.
one
as it
made a
stands.
motion. I need a second.
Yeah, I'm not sure I like the way the motion was worded, but it doesn't really have anything to do. My concern is not having to do with Mr. Cavallari and his proposal. It has to do with the precedent and what this previous boards did.
But yeah, but Mike, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We're not accepting, I'm making a proposal to accept his, because it does go against what you're talking about.
What is your motion?
My motion is not to accept Frank's proposal
As it's currently
as
written.
it stands.
As it
If he wants to
stands.
renegotiate it, then he can do that. But as it stands, I do not, my proposal is not to accept it.
I need a second on that
Yeah,
motion.
I will second that.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? If none,
Well, I want to make sure that it's not that we're not accepting him into the bay.
No.
We're just not accepting this particular.
That's the point I want to make sure.
Yeah.
I am not against Frank coming in over there. I'm not against that at all. I'm not dealing with that part of this issue. I'm
Right.
against the fact that that proposal does not go along with the precedent that has been set, and so I'm not in favor of that being done.
Thank you,
Could
Mike.
I make a suggestion? Well, you don't get to vote, they vote. I live in the Bay too, sir.
please.
Would you consider making a motion to allow me to negotiate terms with staff that you get to approve?
Well, as soon as
That's
this
what I just
motion
said,
is
Frank.
is
That's what I
passed or not,
There's a
there's going
motion
to be
made on the
another
floor in a
motion.
second, so, again. Please, we do not,
Mr. Chairman, we have a pending motion.
please, say what the motion is in second,
Okay,
so
the
we can go on and
motion
get
is-
on
the
moving
motion
with
is-
it.
All right, everybody pay attention. The motion is not to accept Frank's proposal as it stands, but he has the option of what is that noise? Of negotiating the terms of his contract. I'm not saying that I hate Frank and he should go away.
Don't
I'm
be that
saying
way.
that this particular proposal, I am not in favor of.
I need a second.
I thought we had a second.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Mano made a second,
We
okay.
already had a second.
Now, there was the motion, a second. Any other discussion on that motion? If none, by voice count. Randy?
I have to think about that motion here.
We want me to do it one more time?
You made the
No,
motion?
no, God,
It's
Luann,
either
please,
yes or no.
I accept the fact to not accept this proposal right now, so if that's a yes, that's a yes.
Yes.
I vote yes.
Again, this proposal is what I'm voting yes on. We cannot accept.
Thank you. Same thing, so it is unanimous. The motion passes unanimously, so they're gonna come back for another negotiation if he wants to. That's my understanding.
Mr. Chairman, I would now like to make a motion that if Mr. Cavallari renegotiates with staff, that a new negotiation on lease cost only can be brought back to the board for consideration.
I want a second on that.
I would second that.
Okay. Now, any other discussion on that motion that was just made? If none, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. So he will come back and renegotiate. Thank you. The next on the agenda is the NRP purchase of 12 tax deeds.
Mr. Chairman, I just have a quick
I'd like
question.
to have a little break.
Who will I be negotiating with?
Staff.
Thank you.
Should I put my business up for sale now?
No.
Should I fire my employees now? Should I tell them all they can't work no more? They can't have all the hours because he's gonna serve desserts, cannolis and desserts and take business away from our
He's not
restaurant?
gonna- I'd like a 5-minute recess. A 5 minutes recess. He's not coming in. No, he's not coming in.
No, the second motion.
And we shouldn't.
I'm gonna read another cookie now. I got you. They're approving, man. They're approving.
We're not, it's got to come back to the.
They didn't do anything. They should have tabled it. They said come in with another proposal. They didn't do anything. They should have just tabled it. They didn't do anything.
Did he what?
How can you vote on anything?
Who said that? Tell him that. Good. I know. It ain't gonna hurt me. He can talk all he wants.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
We will have a 5-minute recess.
I'm not good. I'm not good. Because all my employees are gonna have to get kicked out. I don't understand. What am I supposed, yeah. What am I supposed to do? Thanks for showing up, sir. This is Margaret. Margaret's our bookkeeper. Nice to meet you. My pleasure.
Lorraine, Lorraine. I couldn't tell him. I wanted him not to do, but they make the motion not to accept it. Should have just shot it down, but they don't. But you gotta. But if he get you have to be fair because you had to. If he says he wanted to negotiate again, you have to give him that thing. You just can't stop him from doing that.
That's right, you have to be fair though.
Yeah, great.
You're gonna charge $10.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. I said.
Be fair to the other people in the day.
And he said, if he's gonna come back with, and then it's gonna be probably less than 10. I am not going with $10. I'm going with the $10, so that's it. And no 5 months free rent.
Make a decision, yes or no?
It's difficult to make a decision. You have expenses.
You want them in here? I'll put them in for sure like put somebody else in.
He's obnoxious, and he's still not obnoxious, no matter what. He's angry. What? Well, I don't know what's going on there. I didn't ask questions because he shouldn't have even brought that up because I'm not interested in that. I was going to buy it for myself. Let him keep hanging. But and what you got? But the point is, as far as I'm concerned, I don't need. He's not. If the board does right, they will not have him in here. I don't give a damn what you want to do because he's still gonna stay with it. And I know not, and I'm not giving him the 5 months free rent. If he wants 2 months, that's it. I'm gonna ask the other ones what did I try to remember. I think they got. I don't know what color. I don't know what other guy. He got 2 months free rent. So, but. It was still had him charge you $10, so he's gonna do that shit, and that's it. And he can't be going thing there. He needs to get. All right, he wants to get a waiver. He's not going because he's got to come back again. He wants to negotiate it. But you know what? I was looking for where they said made a motion. They should have said a motion. How would have been, but they voted no against it. Been done. But they did vote against the kill of that. But then he had come back with it. I don't know why he even came back.
Thank you.
Thank you. But the
Hi
thing
there.
is,
What did I do wrong now?
No, he's not going to accept it. He's not going to. As long as you don't, you can talk to every board member you want, but as long as you don't, you talk to me. As long as you don't tell everybody.
He's missing a point here. There's more behind the scenes here than
he's what everybody says.
This isn't
And
going to go through at a different
because
rate
everybody
or anything.
here was against it.
No, the
And
question is
audience.
whether or not you put somebody else in.
He
I'm
was
not sure I
trying to
can
go-
answer
that's
that
not
question.
what I
However,
wanted to hear.
the lease is not going to be different. So that's the point.
He's a fucking three-time loser.
Frank's not going to go in there at $10 an hour, by the way.
As far as I'm concerned, he's a thing. And I didn't want you to say too much. I know you were angry. I didn't want you to say. That's why I was trying to hold you back. That's okay. I know you. You have
I know.
to
I understand. I know.
Yeah, but I didn't know. I thought at the end I didn't want you to come up with some of the stuff because now the thing that so I don't want nobody to get their ideas changed it differently. Left it a thing there, but. It's not way hell I could have got to you. So I kept saying
I know.
no.
I know.
No.
I hear you.
It's okay.
Believe me, I
And you
do.
know what?
I got to tell you one
See what
thing.
it is. I wish I had the
Tell Cliff I said he's chicken.
Okay, might as well get back. I guess we'll be here to Christmas.
Bang the gavel, let's get this show on the road.
Huh?
Let's get this show on the road. It's 9 o'clock. I'd like to, Jonathan got it, 45 minutes of travel.
Okay, ready? Huh? Okay, the meeting is starting. Mr. Mano. Mine, okay, close enough. He'll get upset. What would you do? Put you saying a rosary?
No, I'll be back.
I should have.
Look how strange 6 years of being a community manager has done. My first training. Community managers don't get cheap groceries.
Huh?
You don't get a cheap grocery when you take my job. You get a dessert.
Mike. That's okay. Okay. We are going back to the meeting, and it's going to be the NRP purchase of 12 tax deeds on specific lots held by Brevard County. And would you like to talk about it?
Sure, why not?
Tell us what's.
Rich Armington, Resident Relations, HR Manager. We're not requesting any action. This is for informational purposes only. A little background is staff recently identified 12 attached lots. Addresses are redacted in accordance with the spirit of the NRP. With tax deed owned by Brevard County as potential lots to be purchased to spur the construction of new homes. The 12 lots have current DOR violations for tall grass, resulting in property services cutting the grass and liens being placed on the properties for non-payment. Approval by the Board of Trustees was unanimously approved at the meeting on July 12, 2019. This will be a continuing process with tax deed auctions being submitted next. The tax deeds have been purchased on the 12 vacant lots. Estimates have been printed for the final acquisition and sale for all 12 lots. The estimates have been confirmed by trustees Klosky and Loveland. During the next 3 to 4 weeks, BBRD will be calling for tax deed auction on 12 lots. The Board of Trustees will be kept apprised of all progress made in the acquisition of these properties. And just a fiscal impact, we paid $17,778.08 for the 12 certificates, and the county returned $15,573.55 to us, which was, when you buy county tax deeds, most of the money that you're paying comes back to the Bay because it hasn't been paid yet. So it was just a little over $2,000 for the 12 tax deeds.
What
That
was,
was
that,
just-
what was that number again? Huh? I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. What was
ahead.
that number? A little over what?
Actually, well, we paid $17,778. We received $15,573 back. So it was about $2,200 it cost us for the 12 tax deeds.
Well, that was just for informational. We do not have to respond to that. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is the Violation Committee appointment. And before we go any further, I would just read a letter here from Joy Liddy, Chairman, Person, DOR Violation Committee. I hereby announce, you want me to read that? Yeah. I hereby announce my intent to resign from DOR Violation Committee, effective January 23rd, 2020. I have enjoyed working with all the members of the committee as well as the DOR enforcement team. I want to thank everyone for their help and guidance over the 15 years on the committee. Now I feel I should step down to allow someone new to fill the vacancy. And sincerely, Mary D. Furline. So she has resigned as of the 23rd, and so we have an opening for that, and I need a board to make a motion to appoint Mr. Jeff Gruno to the vacant voting member position for a 3-year term. I need a motion.
I make a motion to appoint Jeff Gruno to the vacant membership.
Well, I need a second.
I'll second.
Randy made a second. Any discussion on the motion? If none, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. The next, upon Mr. Gruno's appointment to a voting member position, 2 alternate member positions are now vacant. The following individuals have submitted resumes and conveyed their interest in serving as an alternate. Tom O'Donnell, former DOR inspector; David Whedon, former trustee; Earl Brinker, current ARCC member and former member of the now-defunct Finance Committee; and Paul Preston, resident. I need a motion to appoint 2 individuals to the Violation Committee as alternate members.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we appoint Mr. Brinker and Mr. Wheaton to that committee.
Okay, I need a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion on this motion?
Yes, I've got some discussion. I'm a little confused. I know about 4 years ago, Mr. Brinker, a board, not the current board, but a previous board, banned him from future service on committees due to some behavior. Has that ever come back to the board to be
For him to be
lifted?
reinstated? Or-
Yes, to be reinstated
No,
by motion.
Go ahead.
While there was never a motion to undo that first motion, board did appoint him to the ARC meeting subsequent to that suspension. So this is one of those things you can view it as they indirectly lifted a suspension, or you can make the claim that he's still suspended and the prior board erred in appointing him to the ARC committee.
So the board specifically suspended him, but there was never a motion to lift that suspension. Is that correct?
My understanding is what we did, we made that motion, the motion was made for 5 months.
I
And
think it was
that's
a
what we-
lifetime. That was a lifetime ban.
Mr. Chair, it is in our meeting as a lifetime.
I guess it just seems.
Well, as an indefinite. I'm sorry, not as a lifetime. It's listed in our
It was in,
it just, there's a certain irony there that we would be considering appointing somebody to the violations committee who that appointment in itself would be a violation of the BOT motion that was approved.
Isn't he on one of the other committees?
Gonna ask-
He's on the ARC committee, isn't he?
He's
Right.
currently on the ARC
He's
committee.
currently
Right, and I
on the
mean, we
ARC
just,
committee.
we just finished violating all kinds of rules that we do, so, you know, it's just individuals. I'm not really concerned with why he was banned or not. I just think this is a non-issue.
Yeah, I mean, I understand if you, I don't recall what the circumstances were. I think the appropriate thing, if Mr. Brinker would like to have that lifted, would be to petition the board to come back and let's go through it and see the circumstances and decide if it's time to lift that ban.
So wait,
What does that-
wait. So he was banned from all the committees?
Yes.
Well, he's already on he's on the ARC committee
Well,
now.
I mean, I can't explain that oversight,
Well,
but
Mr. Klosky and I were the only ones currently here on that board that appointed him. All the members at the time were aware he was banned at the time.
Okay, I would like to, Mr. Chairman, I would like to see Tom O'Donnell get some consideration for this. Tom O'Donnell worked for the DOR. He had a good record as when he was an employee with the DOR. He knows the DOR process. He was part of implementing Citizen Serve.
okay, there is a motion on the board.
in addition, Mr. Coffey, you can correct me, if I'm not mistaken, your DOR inspectors are the ones who actually present the violations to the violation committee, so they would be well versed in the procedure and the obviously the deed of restrictions and all of those things. Is that correct?
Correct.
well, my understanding about Mr. O'Donnell was that he left the DOR
Right.
under strange circumstances
Right.
too. So, if you're going to
Can we have
ban
two-
Hurl from being it, then you really had to ban Tom O'Donnell too.
Yeah, you can have it. Okay, well, the one motion that was made is to have Mr. Brinker and Mr. Whedon.
It was made and
They
seconded.
made, and there was a second. Now, there's a motion now on Mr. Tom O'Donnell, and
I'll second that.
second that, but if I'm gonna ask for a motion,
Mr. Chairman, we can't have two
we
motions
can't
on
do
the
it,
floor.
excuse me?
We can't have two motions on the floor.
That's
at
what
the
I was
time.
saying too, no.
So in other words, okay, okay, the motion was made on this, so I'm looking for, all in favor of the motion that, was made to have Mr. Brinker and Mr. Whedon on the violations, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And anybody opposed?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's 3-2, so the motion passes. I will, okay, I'll continue talking with this one, Mr. Rippinger, when he gets back and everything, or even, okay, we'll skip this one, I'll talk to Mr. Rippinger later on. Okay, that motion passes, so now the next one is the ice machine replacement at Building A. John?
Yes, the ice machine in Building A is past its useful lifespan. Staff solicited 2 quotes. One included installation, and one we requested installation, but it was not included. We have good experience with Complete Restaurant, which is the one that includes installation. There's sufficient available budget within the FY20 approved budget. The cost and maintenance of this unit is shared between 2 departments because of the club use of this ice machine along with food and beverage. Therefore, staff recommends award a contract to Complete Electric in the amount of $7,899.88 for the purchase and installation of a new ice machine in Building A.
I'm looking for a motion.
I'd so move.
Second? Any discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Next is the manager's report.
As of January 10th, $2.9 million in assessment receipts have been received, or 77% of the annual budget. Details are attached. Resident relations, I won't repeat the ARC meeting that was reported at the last one, but on the 21st, 2 old business were approved, 12 consent items were approved, 17 other items were considered, 14 approved, 3 tabled. There is an ARC meeting next Tuesday. 3 old business and 18 new items are on the agenda. And the violations meeting last Friday was canceled. And I reported on the violations meeting on the 10th. That was a wrong date there. I apologize about that. Food and beverage dance party with TC was a big success. The big football party is coming up in the 19th hole. Buffet tickets are $13, are on sale. The Neil Diamond Tribute and Variety Show is sold out. A lot of Neil Diamond fans here in the Bay. The February 14th kickoff concert coming up in a couple weeks. Tickets are still available. And St. Patrick's Day celebration will be Monday the 16th due to the presidential preference election on St. Patty's Day. They use Building A, and that is the building we reserve in case of inclement weather. So those who like to celebrate the luck of the Irish can do it 2 days, on the 16th here and on the 17th somewhere else. Tickets will go on sale soon. Golf Pro Shop, there was a tournament today. The Barefoot Bay Song CDs available. The Lake Bank project started last week. A couple pictures showing how we roped it off for safety and an example of the amount of area that's reclaimed using the soil from the bottom of the lakes. The new lease carts will arrive tomorrow, and the ADA cart will arrive in a few weeks once it's built per order. Property services, busy as ever. Continue working on miniature golf, trimmed trees, repaired the gate for the 2nd time in a month at the beach, and changed the lock twice. Mr. Getz, who has the largest department in the Bay, when he says he's working on the budget, he's working on the budget. Cleaned out the trash in the canals as the water was unusually low due to the Weir piping project. And I have a picture of the Veterans Gathering Space flagpole that was recently erected and passed inspection, and continue on a lot of different projects. A couple general information, the Building A renovations RFP, the selection of the evaluation committee members and the announcement of the release will be on the next agenda on February 14th. And as in the peak of the week, the Veterans Gathering Space will have a brief grand opening ceremony with the official raising of the colors on Saturday, February 1st, this Saturday at 11 a.m., site of the old Resident Relations Office. Chairman Kolosky and other dignitaries will be speaking. Everyone is invited to attend. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Attorney's report.
We have an eviction and damages case against Blissful Things, and we served a request for admissions on them, and their responses are due January 30th. They haven't filed anything yet, and if they don't file anything before the 30th, we'll move for summary judgment as soon as possible.
And that's it. That's short and sweet. Thank you. Randy, incidental remarks?
Oh, no, we've gone long enough.
Huh?
We have gone long enough.
Yeah, okay. That's the, Roger?
I agree. It's been a long night.
Luann?
No, I've talked enough also.
Okay. Don't forget, we got a meeting tomorrow morning, a workshop. Okay. Our next meeting will be February 11th, 2020, at Building D&E at 1 p.m. And that'll also include the Sunshine Law at 11 a.m. Need a motion to, you want what? The Sunshine Law. At the next board meeting. Yeah, before 11 a.m., if I can get it. I gave it a break. 9 o'clock. DOR workshop. Okay, I need a motion. Nobody made a motion. Meeting adjourned. Thank you. See you tomorrow morning.